What is up, my veggies? My name is VTR and welcome back to another movie review. And today we're going to be reviewing a movie that I didn't think I'd ever actually review. Not because I didn't want to, so I didn't think I'd actually sit down and watch it ever. It was my sister, and her boyfriend sat down and watched yesterday. I believe this movie came out I almost said it came out yesterday. I believe this movie came out last year. I'm like 95% sure this movie came out last year. Now, if you guys don't know what yesterday is, it's a movie about the Beatles basically get wiped from existence, and only one guy remembers them. And he's a musician, and he basically uses the songs to get famous. And there's much more to it than that, but I'm not going to go and say everything about this movie because I think if you're a Beatles fan, you might actually enjoy this, or you might hate it. I don't see how you could hate this movie if you're a Beatles fan, because I feel like it does justice, especially with the ending. This movie does have an alternate ending, by the way, if you look in the special features, which I'm so glad that wasn't the original the ending that the movie went with. But if you've seen what I'm talking about, but I'm going off the full-on movie, what was officially released as the full-on movie. So yeah, so let's talk about this movie. First of all, most of the characters are very likable and very entertaining in this movie. There's not one character I really was like, get off screen, except for one, but I think it was a character you're really supposed to like not enjoy. But most of the time when each character is on screen, you don't hate any of them. Like, you want to see them on screen the whole time. Then, like, the main character, I think his name is Jake, and this other character, Ellie, their chemistry in this movie is fantastic. They're both fantastic actors. I'm pretty sure this movie was filmed probably in Britain or the UK or something like that, because this was a 90% British cast. Like, there's a few American voices in this and everything. That's just because, though, like, this movie they do go to America in this movie, which is really interesting, because I thought the whole movie was going to take place in Britain, but I guess it makes sense because Beatles came over here, so I guess it makes sense. Now, I'm not really a Beatles fan. I've never really had an attachment to the Beatles. I have no problem with the Beatles. I haven't heard a lot of their songs, but a lot of them I have heard. Like "Here Comes the Sun," I know that song. I know I think "Dear Jude," I think is the name of that one, which is a kind of funny joke in this movie with that. Stuff in this movie actually does really well, and it's actually really fun. The characters are very likable. You enjoy watching the characters. And I don't really think this is a bad movie. There wasn't really much in the movie where I was like, I don't enjoy this. This really feels weird to me. There wasn't much of that in this movie where I was like, oh. There was a few things I was like, really? That joke? Like, there's a joke around the end of the movie that I really didn't like. But that's just because this wasn't my type of comedy. But there's a few jokes in there like that. But most of them, the jokes that are in this movie, and the drama is in this movie, the chemistry with the characters is real. The movie feels independent, but looks high budget, if that makes sense, which isn't a bad thing. That's kind of how some other movies that I reviewed feel. And I really I see the word yesterday, I didn't know that, the title yesterday, I didn't know that was a Beatles song, because like I said, I'm not really a Beatles fan. Like, it's not that I hate the Beatles or anything, but like, I just didn't know that. And I like if you're a Beatles fan, there are some nods to things to the Beatles. There's like the Yellow Submarine. I know about that from the Beatles and all that stuff. Thing is, there's one thing with this movie that really blew my mind, and a little bit of spoilers. Skip a little ahead if you don't want spoilers. It's not just the Beatles that get wiped out of existence with this movie. I'm like, what? And the alternate ending brings up more questions. I'm like, why would I have this much questions about a movie about where the Beatles don't exist? But the freaking, like, there's other things in the world that doesn't exist. Like, freaking, I'm not gonna give them away because they're funny when you find out they don't exist anymore. And this guy's the only one that remembers them, and he's like, wait, what? I thought that was really funny. There's some funny jokes in there with that stuff. It's like I looked back at my sister's boyfriend, and we look at each other like, what? I was like, Steven, he looked at me and he's like, look, imagine if they went and said My Little Pony didn't exist. I'd be like, I'm done with this movie! Because freaking right in front of me are freaking some of my pony merch. There's some of my pony merch sitting right in front of me. Like, I'm not even joking. There's a good bit of my pony merch sitting right in front of me. I'm not even lying. Why would I even bring that up in this review? But no, this movie actually did execute some things that I was really not expecting. I wasn't expecting to go in this love in this movie, but I think if I would have saw this last year, because I'm pretty sure, I'm like 95% sure this came out last year. I would have put this in the top 12. I'm not gonna lie. Where I would have put it, I have no idea. I probably would have took something out. But I think I would have put this in the top 12 because I rather did enjoy this film, because there's a lot of entertainment value in this movie and in this type of story, which is really interesting, and I really, really like what they did with some of the things that they did in this movie, because it's an interesting concept for a movie, and the fact is that they don't give an explanation, really, except for, like, this happened and then this happened. Like, there's other not, like, why did people forget? I do like that there's not an explanation, because I don't think we need it. My sister really disagreed with me. She was like, no, I needed to know. I feel like if we got an explanation, it would have ruined the movie. And I feel like if like a director or something tells us an explanation, I will be okay with that. I am a little curious on why it happened, but I don't know. Because they're just wiped from existence. Like, they're not just wiped from memory. They're just wiped from existence. Like, you can't, when you Google the Beatles, just Beatles come up. Like, the insect beetles. I'm like, what the heck? And it's really fun. Like, this movie has a lot of fun. And if you're a Beatles fan, you're going to hear the music. And I think some Beatles fans are going to hate this movie. I really think some will. But I think a good majority of them will enjoy this movie, because I'm not a Beatles fan, and I still feel like Beatles fans would be pleased with this movie. Like, there's nothing bad really with it. Like, I know I like praising this movie, but it wasn't the best thing ever. It was enjoyable, though. I really did like it. Would I have wanted to see it in theaters? Definitely. I should have seen this in theaters. I'm really upset that I didn't see this in theaters. But it's fun. It's got some great comedy. Just a lot of the time, I'm just invested with this movie. And there's a few jokes here and there that don't hit with me. That's just because they just don't hit with me, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to explain. But the movie it's well executed, and it's done in a fun way to where it doesn't seem forced or cliche. Now, a lot of people will be like, it'd be really crazy. This is a really crazy concept. So I know this has been done where, like, things like that, like, one movie that comes to mind that I watched ages ago was Teen Beach 2. Because the way that spoilers if you haven't seen that movie, it ends with the movie the original movie that's in the movie getting altered, and it changes everything in the real world to how people have met and know each other and stuff like that. But that's just the thing though about this movie. It sits well with me. Like, most of this movie sits well with me. There's nothing where I want to gouge my eyes out watching this film, because it's just an interesting concept, and I really had as much fun with this movie as possible, I'm not going to lie. Because it was just fun, and it was a good time. I'm not a Beatles fan, like I said, but, like, I had fun with this. And I didn't think the remaining members of the Beatles that are alive, I don't know how many are alive, but I'm pretty sure, according to my research, they were pleased with the movie. And for Pete's sake, the guy that plays Robert, I don't remember his last name, the guy that plays Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time, or Mr. Gold, or the Dark One, or whatever you want to call him, he's in this, and he plays John Locke, or is that how you say his name? Yeah, one of the members of the Beatles who actually was assassinated in real life years and years ago, back in the 80s, I think. It was like 1980, I think. So I think it's really neat how they actually did that. And I haven't seen that dude in anything since I finished watching Once Upon a Time. The thing is, this movie was just entertaining. there's nothing really offensive about it. I don't see anything really in it that could get anyone angry unless you just don't like the fact of a movie where the Beatles don't exist and you hear people saying, "What? Who are the Beatles?" That's like probably the equivalent of a real person just going out and people that's like, "Who are the Beatles?" So I'll be like, "Oh my goodness!" Like I know who the Beatles are. I'm not even a fan. The thing is though, this movie was very interesting, and I have seen way worse than it. Because it's just harmless fun. This movie is just harmless fun, and it has a good story. It has its dramatic moments, and they work, and you like these characters. So I'm gonna have to give it a 4 out of 5. I know I throw this around a lot, but 4 out of 5, man. This movie was not bad at all. I really enjoyed it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys. By the way, before I finish, this is a good movie to bring this up with. This movie is not a musical. It is a music movie. Completely different. Maybe I'll do a video discussing that one day. Might have to do that on the Theory channel, even though it's not a theory, but whatever. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!